Do we have time so I can go put shorts on?
Okay, we are recording, so I will turn it over to Trustee Kudo, who is our chair for the evening.
Thank you, Bart. Apologies all. Happy to see everyone, and just want you to know that I love Microsoft Teams as much as you do. So it has never not worked the first time. This is it. First, Crystal has been meeting, noticed and such.
Yes.
Okay. First order of business, once all of my electronics are rebooting, would be the minutes from, was it the 23rd of February?
28th February.
28th, 2023. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented, unless someone has any adjustments.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 28th, 2023.
I'll second.
That's Reese.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Motion
Okay.
made by Kylie Miller, seconded by Teresa Klein. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, can we get you as well?
Can you say
Aye.
that again? Oh, yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
There we go. Okay, motion passes. Of course, as you might expect, my internet is being a pain right now, as I'm in the middle of nowhere in northern Wisconsin. So, Bart, can you read through for us until my
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Crystal? Sorry.
Yep. I'm happy to do it. So item 3 is the conditional use permit application for the installation of a new 4.5 meter satellite earth station at commercial property 1100 East Capitol Drive. The first element of that is a staff overview. I'm going to quickly share my screen and provide just the general storyline of what we're looking at here. Hopefully, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so like I said, this is at 1100 East Capitol Drive. This here is a photo of the site showing 3 existing Earth satellite stations that had previous approval, as noted in the staff report. They are looking to add a 4th satellite Earth station just to the north of the existing equipment. The parcel 1100 East Capitol Drive is Zone P3 Park Preservation District, in which utilities and services minor are a permitted use per table 535.25.1 of the village's zoning code. However, satellite earth stations also require an antenna permit, and within 225.10C1A of the antenna permit language, a conditional use permit is required for their installation. In addition, the general requirements for antenna permits outlined in 225.10H requires the Plan Commission provide express approval for antennas beyond 1 per lot. As mentioned, this would be the 4th antenna or satellite earth station on this lot. The Plan Commission did approve the 2nd and 3rd installations at their May 23rd, 2017 meeting. The proposed installation, as I mentioned, is just north of the existing equipment. So on the left here, you'll see a circle, which includes the 4.5 meter satellite dish along with its concrete foundation and a reference to an ice bridge which has 4 post foundations to protect the equipment. On the right is an existing aerial photo of what the site looks like. Review and approval. This is subject to the conditional use parameters that are outlined in 535.31I5. So the Plan Commission shall review landscaping, architectural design, lighting, fencing, planting screens, operational controls, hour of operation, traffic circulation, amongst other items, and shall find that the 7 conditions generally required for conditional use permits are satisfied with the application. That is the overview that I have prepared. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I will turn it over or back over to, if I can figure out how to stop sharing the screen. Stop sharing. I will turn it back over to Trustee Kudo to go over public comment if we have any.
Thank you, Bart. Do we have any members of the public that would like to make a comment or a statement? Okay, seeing none.
So we will close public comment at 6:51. The next item is Plan Commission deliberation, which can also include any information as provided by the applicant. We have Ethan Miller here and Lanier Korsmeyer representing the application.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
Oh, thank you for coming. And again, apologies for some of the technical issues. Gentlemen, do either of you have anything you'd like the commission to know before we discuss amongst ourselves and make our decision?
Well, I was going to ask you if you guys had any specific questions, especially relating to the ice bridge, because I know the other earth stations at this location do not have an ice bridge, but this particular antenna will be the closest to the tower, and it is our fear that falling ice from the tower could damage this antenna. And unfortunately, it is semi-expensive. So we would prefer to not have to, rebuild it year after year. The main focus of installing this earth station at this site, we actually one of the previous stated earth stations belongs to us already, and that would be made a backup. This would be made our main because it can be steerable. We can point it at almost any satellite we want. And we plan to move our main broadcasting rack from our current studio in Glendale to this location on Capitol Drive. And this would allow us to not have to pay for broadband connections at multiple locations. The local staff will be working out of the office at WTMJ, kind of across the street from the Capitol Drive. So that's the main purpose of adding this second satellite dish for us.
Anything? Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Yeah,
Mr.
sure.
Korsmeyer, anything to add?
No, I have nothing to add. I'm a station engineer at the station here in Milwaukee, so I'm just along as another person to add info. If Ethan doesn't have an answer, I might. I'll put it that way.
Well, I live in Florida, so I'm not local to this area, but I have been out there many times to plan this project.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Any questions from the commission members? Recognizing Commissioner Tyler Miller.
Thank you so much. I just have a couple of questions. There's a photograph of the site on page 14 of our packet that shows the building to the south and then the 4 satellites. And it looks like, if I'm correct, this will be the largest of the 4.
Correct.
And I understand the need for the safety cover
over
it because of the falling ice. And I can't really tell, is there any fencing around the current dishes?
No.
Is there any concern that you might need them to prevent vandalism or, teenagers climbing on top of this or, anything like that needs?
I think I know obviously the existing dishes have been there since 2017 at least. And as far as I know, there has been 0 vandalism to them.
Okay.
Fencing, we could certainly discuss fencing if the village would like that. But I think in the past it has been okay without the fencing.
I'm just thinking like what I was like as a teenager, so I'm just concerned. And then,
I was perfect, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And then we didn't get the details of the electrical permit, so those are my last 2 questions. I read somewhere in the application, the information that, or maybe it was just a recommendation about the mount going below the frost line. So maybe this question is for Bart. I assume, or can we assume that the village building inspector is going to ensure that installation won't interfere with current buried power lines? And then also, I have no idea what kind of electrical pole this new dish will have, but are we going to have adequate power from like the closest transformer, so it's not going to overload the system and blow out power, say, to the nearby police station?
Sure.
Or any other adjacent property or there or across the street?
I can speak to all of that. This particular dish requires I think it's a 40 amp 3-phase circuit that will be supplied from within the building out of a current 200 amp service panel. That is all ready to go. We do need to have Staff Electric is the chosen contractor to supply the electric out to the dish. They will have to still run conduit within the building and then outside out to the dish.
And
But
yeah,
no,
Crystal,
there's no real large electrical draw. The dish will have this 40 amp 3-phase circuit. It relates to a heater panel that will be placed on the back of the dish that melts snow and ice off the dish. And then there's a small, I think 24 volt DC circuit that controls the motor to move it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crystal, can I ask you to unmute Commissioner Kate Flynn Post? I think she rejoined and we still have issues with that. And then yes, to your questions, Barbara, the building inspector will be reviewing the installation inspection with respect to the concrete footings, and the village's electrical contractor KWK will be inspecting the electrical work.
Okay, thank you so much.
Teresa, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question, Ethan.
Sure.
You know, we don't have these kind of dishes in our back. Is there any hazard to anyone walking up
No.
to it, touching it? It's just a
No.
receiver, right? It's not...
Yeah, this is receive only. So there's no transmit output from it, and all of the RF that's coming into it is you're already walking through it anyway.
Yep. Okay. Just wanted to check.
Barbara Kaiser-Miller.
So I understand the receive only, and then say if this is your backup.
This
dish-
will be our main, I'm sorry.
Oh, your main dish. Okay.
Yes.
So that if you needed to, when you want to use it, how does that information received get to the station? Does it go through some kind of electrical conduit or something if it's not transmitting that information?
Okay, so there is, if you can think of the small, what you would call cable in your home to go to your TV.
Yeah.
There's a cable about twice that size that will go from, it's the exact same style and type of cable, but it will go from the center of the dish into the ground, into conduit that will be through the concrete base over to the existing ice bridge that goes from the tower to the building. And then that, it does not need to be run in conduit. The electrical portion will be run in conduit, but the RF portion does not need to be run in conduit, and it will just be strapped to the existing ice bridge and then go directly into our building.
Okay, appreciate that. I did enjoy reading the installation instructions and the visual of like 6 to 8 guys, holding this dish above their heads like a giant bird bath. So that was entertaining.
Well, it's funny because there is a bird bath position that can be used to clean it and all sorts of things, but.
Yeah, and then having the smallest installer, climb up into it, that was kind of cool too.
Well, you'd be actually the woman that will probably be installing it is about 5'2" and 120 pounds. So there will be several installers, but I think she's the project lead to actually install it. So
would it be fun to come and watch?
You're more than welcome to.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from commissioners? Otherwise, I would be happy to entertain a motion.
I'll start. So I move to permit an additional satellite earth station at commercial property 1100 East Capitol Drive and approve the conditional use permit application required for its installation based on meeting the findings stipulated in 535-31. Is that an I or L?
I.
I5E.
Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
say,
Kate beat you, Barbara. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Okay. Any final discussion?
Can I just say something real quick?
Go ahead.
We are hoping to get the concrete base, as long as this sounds like it's approved, but we would potentially be starting construction either Friday or early next week. And then the base needs to sit about 2 or 3 days before the satellite dish can actually be built on top of it. But I would assume that we would try to get whatever inspector the village would like to see the base at that point or during construction.
Yeah, just give us a call when you're ready for him to
Okay.
inspect the forms or whatnot. We will, I'm sure if he's not there, Tim can do it. We have 2 inspectors, so yes.
Okay.
Give us a call when that's ready. We're happy to help you out.
And the only other thing I would say is the ice bridge that will be built over the dish will probably not be built for, I actually don't know how long, but the steel, I guess, is the steel is not available yet, but the dish for us is the important part, so that can be built now.
Okay. Thank you. We've got a motion on the floor with a second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 4-0. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 4, possible joint plan commission and CDA meeting regarding the village's public works facility. Bart, you just want to run through, I know I saw the email from Rebecca. You just want to kind of run through the thought process here and the next steps, please.
Yeah, so this was a request from the village manager to kind of convene both groups to get you on the same page as to where we are with the process. I believe you've been invited to previous engagement efforts, but perhaps not followed it completely at the village board level. But we did receive a finalized report from our consultant, Barry Entos, just kind of giving us an overview of potential sites for the village to consider for public works facility, one including our current site, but also 2 in the Riverworks area of Milwaukee, just over the border. With that, obviously, there's a lot of coordination that needs to take place. We actually had a meeting today with City of Milwaukee staff as well to try to continue that conversation. So the village manager just asked that we prepare the Plan Commission and CDA for potential future discussions or recommendations or actions with respect to what this all might look like. Most particularly with respect to if we were to move our facility outside of the village, what will we do with the current location? And so as it's currently zoned, it is zoned for public use, which obviously our DPW site is. If it were no longer needed for that, what type of use would be looking, that would fit with the space? There's been discussion of whether or not it could be reutilized for affordable housing or other types of housing or park and open space. And so we would definitely be looking at the Plan Commission to provide a recommendation as to the land use, referencing elements of the comprehensive plan, et cetera. And so we're looking to convene both groups to kind of begin those discussions. The village manager has suggested that we could tack it on to our September meeting if we have a regular meeting. If not, we could plan on making that the regular meeting for September. So she's looking at if you're open to the idea of convening us in September, and she would provide a greater introduction and kind of just get you all both on the same page that moving forward, we're all up to speed on where we're at. So she just asked that I see whether or not September could work for the group during our regularly scheduled meeting. And so that's really the only feedback I'm looking for tonight, unless you had questions or thoughts that you'd like me to either try to respond to or take back to her for her consideration.
Barbara?
Yeah, I haven't followed the board discussions the last couple months. So maybe this is still an open question, but if the board chooses to move the DPW site to one of the other locations outside the village, what about the transfer station? Would that move as well? Would that need to stay? We can start to think about, what we might like to see there.
I can answer that unless you desperately want to talk about this.
No.
It's still part of the discussion. So, the transfer station, this can go a lot of different ways, and there is no consensus on the board yet. But we haven't been presented with final plans to make a consensus or to have us come to a consensus. The transfer station, there are those who think it could potentially stay. There are those who think it definitely has to go. What I think this is just a really great opportunity to get the CDA and the Plan Commission up to speed on where we are right now in our conversations and our deliberations, and have you see exactly what we're seeing, so that when the time comes, there's no surprises. You know, we don't feel like we've been brought in on the back end of any of this. So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity. You know, I'm in favor of it. And there's certainly a lot of stuff to go over. So, you know,
Yeah.
bring a pen and paper. There'll be plenty to do.
And I know the public was invited to those meetings that were on site. I wasn't able to attend them. But what other public input sessions are there any planned as ideas, you know, to gather the best ideas about what to do with this valuable space? You know,
Or do you want to talk about the I mean,
Yeah, there were, in addition to those meetings, there were some village manager memo surveys and things that we did online to gather opinions. But once again, that's all really preliminary until we have a little more concrete ideas of what are possible. I think right now we're kind of in that stage, but we definitely will be looking towards getting more public engagement on those options when they become more real. And so just to keep things moving, we want to keep having the conversation. Like I said, the study's done, but obviously now the work begins. And so, yeah, in September, we definitely look for any ideas that you might have, or at that time, we might have more ideas in terms of what we need more feedback on. But yeah, there had been some village manager memo and perhaps social media posts specific to that transfer station question. So things like that will continue to be asked before, you know, anyone is asked to make a recommendation or a decision.
oh, good. Because I mean, I know that everybody in, you know, across the village will have an opinion, but especially those who live in the adjacent neighborhood, you know, we'd want to see what their preferences are, since it would impact, you know, their properties. So I appreciate
I think
Thanks.
everyone's going to have a chance. Kate, any?
If I could, yeah, I'd appreciate the opportunity to receive a briefing on this item, especially because I had reviewed the last CDA meeting and there was some mention of affordable housing in connection to this parcel. And so for me, I'd just really like to hear the bigger picture. And then my question is, for this meeting in particular, it's purely informational, correct? I mean, we wouldn't be asked
Correct.
to take any action at this meeting. So I see a real benefit to convening together and not having to have separate conversations, and just really all getting on the same page as to what we're talking about with the DPW facility and then potential uses for that parcel of land.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Trustee Kudo said, we want to get you in on the front end of things before we ask you to make recommendations and discussions. And so ultimately, or I should say, eventually you will be asked to provide recommendations, but we're not there yet. So I think doing this now hopefully gets everyone thinking about the topic more concretely. So I think it's a good idea. And so if September works, Village Manager Ewald would be happy to provide that update to all of you.
Sharice, any question? Comment?
Not a question, just agreeing that I'm in alignment with starting the conversations early. Be glad to participate.
Cool. And I read correctly that this would be during our meeting, right? The CDA would come to us because 7:30 in the morning is not desirable.
Correct. Yeah, we'd be looking at it
on this call.
Yep, Tuesday night at 6:30 is our standard meeting, and so we would poll them to make sure they're available at that time, but we'd be using your time, not their time, as the preferred meeting arrangement. Possibly by then we're back in person, I don't know, but it could also still be virtual. I need to determine how that project is going downstairs.
Okay. I think it sounds like we have a consensus that we'd love to do it. Do you need anything official from us, or are we good?
Nope, yep, just a discussion. So I can take this back to Village Manager Ewald, and we will start planning on September, getting that joint meeting together.
Okay. Any future agenda items? Item number 5. Anything in the hopper for next month, Crystal or Bart?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no applications on file. I'll just mention this because I feel like it does impact land use on some level, but I will be providing the Community Business Relations Committee, chaired by Trustee Kudo here, of the Village Board, an introductory discussion on the concept of backyard chickens in the village in September. So it's possible that committee may refer it to the Plan Commission. I don't exactly know where it's going to go yet, but in terms of future agenda items, I'm working on the sign code with Design Review Board. And then backyard chickens is one of my next items, followed by special privileges. I know the Plan Commission has identified home occupations and accessory dwelling units as your next two items to tackle, but I need to get through some of these other items first before I can bring those back to you. So I appreciate your patience in letting me get to these other items first. So we may or may not engage in that conversation moving forward. We'll see where that goes.
So chickens, folks, come talk to us about chickens.
We get our chickens at Costco. That's
It's a fact-finding mission. Okay, if there's no other future agenda items, then I would love to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sorry, Teresa, you're muted. Seconded by Kate. All in favor? Adjourning at
Aye.
7:12. Aye. All right, we stand adjourned at 7:12.
All right. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.